Chapter 15. The number 4. This number, 4, comprehends all powers, both of productive and produced numbers. 2 multiplied into itself produces 4, and retorted into itself makes the first cube. This cube is the fertile number, the ground of multitude and variety. Thus the 2 principles of temporal things, the pyramid and cube, form and matter, flow from one fountain, the tetragon, on earth, the monad in heaven. Riechlein Kabbalah, Oliver. When the Trinity descends and manifests upon the physical plane, creation is said to be completed, i.e., when the upper triangle is reflected in the lower, with the diameter common to them both. This descent into the lower half of the circle generates the square thus. Hence 4 is the number of the physical plane, the most perfect of mundane numbers, for according to occult mathematics it contains the potency of 10, the entire cycle of manifestation. There are 2 important laws used in occult mathematics, namely, occult addition and occult reduction. Occult addition is used to ascertain the occult value or potency of any single figure. This is obtained by adding together all the numbers from 1 up to and including the 1 indicated. Thus 4 contains the potency of 10 because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 10. Following this law, 7 also equals 10, for 1 plus 24 minus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 is equal to 28 equals 10. By occult reduction we ascertain the ultimate value of any number containing more than 1 figure, expressed in terms of one of the first 9 digits. This is accomplished by adding together horizontally the figures composing the number and repeating this process until the sum is expressed in 1 figure. All numbers may thus be reduced to one of the first 9 digits, thus 11 is equal to 2, 12 is equal to 3, 19 equals 10 equals 1, 144 is equal to 9, 999 equals 27 equals 9, 777 equals 21 is equal to 3, 1915 equals 16 equals 7, etc. Continuing this process, if we arrange the figures from 1 to 19 in groups of 3, forming 7 trinities, we see that every 4th number is an expression or further elaboration of 1 or unity, as the following tables will show. These tables show that the Trinity manifests through 6 periods or days of creation and rests, or is synthesized or summed up in the 7th, 19, which completes the cycle of manifestation, or 10, bringing all back again to unity 1, but in a higher cycle. This shows that 4 completes the first series or group of numbers, from which all others are derived, just as there are 4 fundamental geometrical figures: circle, line, triangle, square, from which all others are derived. The line in motion generates the circle, the triangle, and square. And applied to solid figures, the circle generates the sphere and cylinder, the triangle generates the pyramid and the cone, while the square generates the cube and the pillar. Geometrically, the figure 4 is formed by joining the right arm of the cross with the apex, thus, which symbolizes man standing upright and holding in his right hand the A of divinity. The geometrical figure corresponding to 4 is the square, the base of the pyramid, the most stable of all geometrical forms. Hence, both 4 and the square are symbols of all that is stable, enduring, and perfect upon the earth plane. In astrology, the square aspect is considered an evil one, symbolizing the inertia and limitations of matter, yet it can be rendered most fortunate if made into a foundation stone upon which to build the life. the cubic stone with which to measure and test all conditions. The square is generated not only by the reflection of the Trinity, triangle, and matter, but also by uniting the four ends of the cosmic cross. The ancients represented the divine man crucified within a circle. Hence the cosmic cross represents the crucifixion which must take place that the deity may manifest in his creations. The figure of the cross is not an artificial symbol arbitrarily chosen, for it is not only formed naturally by the line containing all the neutral points between the positive and negative poles of every circle, the equator, and crossing the axis at right angles, thus, but it is also naturally formed in the heavens by the four bright stars of the first magnitude which mark the cardinal points in the heavens, i.e., Aldebaran, north, the eye of Taurus the bull, Antares, east, the heart of Scorpio the eagle, Regulus, west, the heart of Leo the lion, and Fomalhaut, south, the eye of the southern fish, or the constellation Aquarius the man. As we have said elsewhere, it is a great mistake to think that the cross was first brought into notice in history during the Christian era. It was already an ancient and sacred symbol long before any of the races now on earth began. In fact, it is almost impossible to go far enough back in the earth's history to find a period in which this symbol was not known. Indeed, we are told that the cross was not identified with the crucifixion of the man Jesus during the early centuries of the Christian era, for no figure of a man appears upon the cross during the earth's 6 or 7 centuries. The earliest known form of the human figure on the cross is the crucifix presented by Pope Gregory the Great to Queen Theodolind of Lombardy, now in the Church of St. John at Monga, whilst no image of the crucified is found in the catacombs at Rome earlier than that of San Gimignano, belonging to the 7th or 8th century. The cross is universally used to symbolize the outpouring of the divine, creative life essence, the cosmic Christos, that it may manifest within the world of creation as the creative Christ force, or that power which is the urge back of and the cause of all evolution, whether or not the blood, life force poured out, of a crucified man is the picture used to emphasize the more esoteric symbology. The Egyptian cross or tau had this same significance. In fact, it was worn not as a symbol of death or of human sacrifice, but as a protecting talisman which focused a power which would help the wearer to unfold his godlike possibilities through the crucifixion of the human and the balancing of the pairs of opposites. It was laid upon the breast of the neophyte when, during his initiation, he was placed in a mystic sleep and laid in a crypt or tomb for 3 days. It was also placed upon the breast of the dead after embalmment. The swastika, or Thor's hammer, another form of the balanced cross, is commonly worn as a talisman. In the life of the neophyte, it is supposed to bring about purification, adjustment and balance by blows from its whirling ends or by the hard knocks of karma, hence its name Hammer of Thor. All these various forms of the cross symbolize number 4, because spirit cannot penetrate matter or manifest in creation without forming the cross. And man cannot become spiritualized and enter the realm of the divine without passing his initiation by balancing his positive and negative forces through the upliftment of the lower segment of the cross, as it rests in the mire of earth, until the upright equals and balances the horizontal arm. The 4 arms of the X or decussated cross, and of the Hermetic cross, pointing to the 4 cardinal points, were well understood by the mystical minds of the Hindus, Brahmins, and Buddhists hundreds of years before it was heard of in Europe, for that symbol was and is found all over the world. They bent the ends of the cross and made of it their swastika, now the wand of the Mongolian Buddhist. The T and the astronomical cross of Egypt are conspicuous in several apertures of the remains of Palenque, state of Chiapas, Mexico, where the ruins extend over 25 acres in one of the basso-relievos of the Palace of Palenque. On the west side, sculptured as a hieroglyphic rite under the seated figure, is a tau. The position is precisely that of a Christian bishop giving his blessing, or the one in which Jesus is often represented while at the Last Supper. The claim that the cross is a purely Christian symbol introduced after our era is strange indeed, when we find Ezekiel stamping the foreheads of the men of Judah who feared the Lord with the signum thou, as it is translated in the Vulgate. There are several forms of the cross, each having a special significance, but all contained in and representing number 4. The form of the cross best known to the Western world is the Latin or Christian cross, the cross of suffering T, but ere this can become the balanced cross, the Greek cross or the cross of mastery, the sign that the initiation is over and mastery won. Its lower aspect must be purified from misconceptions and lifted up into a perfect balance with its higher aspects. While in 2 the divine one is met by matter and is crucified upon the cross thus formed, and 4 matter or the physical plane has yielded up its experiences, and upon them as a solid foundation man, 5, stands and reaches up into the higher realms. The expression of the square in matter is the cube, but the cube unfolded forms the cross of crucifixion, thus. The meaning of this symbology is that the cube represents undeveloped man, the mere human personality who emanated from the One and contains within him the potentialities of that divine one. But to manifest these potentialities, the Christ must be born in his heart, or the spiritual consciousness must be awakened and unfold the cross upon which the lower man must hang until spiritualized and redeemed in number 7. This is demonstrated mathematically by the fact that 4 is the arithmetical mean between 1 and 7, and 4 unfolded becomes the 7, both the 4 and the 7 containing the 10. Since the physical plane is imperfect and there is always something to be sacrificed and redeemed, the cube is called the stone of sacrifice, the altar upon which the lower personality is sacrificed until the pairs of opposites are balanced by the descent of the divine fire which consumes their sacrifice. Therefore, if we sacrifice knowingly and willingly, the redemption is accomplished without the suffering which the crucifixion brings about for those who resist and refuse to work with the law. By thus working with the law of Jesus, the law of redemption through sacrifice, the cross is rolled up into the cube and the stone of sacrifice becomes the pure white stone given to him that overcometh, the foundation stone to a newer and higher manifestation, that upon which all must be founded, the stone which the builders rejected, but which is destined to become chief stone of the corner. For the rock of ages cleft during its manifestation through man and woman, but reunited when they are united in the divine. Living the higher life and laying the foundation stone must be a soul choice, a response to the urge of the divine within you, not as a matter of policy, because your friends so choose, or because you thereby hope to free yourself from hampering and inharmonious conditions, but a response to the urge of the soul for union with the divine, because the soul speaks. It is the stone upon which you must build your life, both the inner and the outer, for if one of the corners is lacking or imperfectly laid, the superstructure, your life and all the world's, must totter and fall in ruins about you, to be laboriously rebuilt later on. It is that quality of stability upon which may be focused all that the great law shall bring into manifestation. This stability must be established upon the physical plane and remain unshaken through all the cataclysms of life ere the temple of the heavenly man, your divine self, can be erected upon it. Nothing can endure that is not founded on this rock. After the foundation stone has been laid in the physical world, it must also be laid in the mental world, as described under number 14 in volume 2 of this work. Regarding the circle as the limits of the cycle of manifestation, the square circumscribed about the circle represents the New Jerusalem of the higher realms, which becomes reflected in the square inscribed within the circle, or the plane of its physical manifestation. 4 is the symbol of the New Jerusalem which cometh down from heaven 4 square, first in the hearts and lives of the followers of the Christ and later for humanity and the world. It descends as the result of the pairs of opposites, which rule the physical plane, being transmuted, balanced, and squared. In other words, 4 is all that is mundane and opposed to the divine, made square with it or permeated and filled with the divine, earth's lessons learned and the fullness of experience garnered. The New Jerusalem is described as coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. A bride is not only arrayed in gorgeous apparel, but she is also prepared to leave her old life in her father's house and through this sacrifice blend her life with that of her husband to make a foundation upon which their one united life can be built. 4 is used in many ways in the Bible and in all other sacred scriptures, as well as in occult literature. The holy city must be laid 4 square, the mystical white stone is square, and there are the 4 cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, presided over by the 4 great angels or regents, symbolized by the 4 sacred animals of Ezekiel, Daniel, and the Apocalypse, namely, the bull, the lion, the eagle, and the man. In the Orient, these regents are called the 4 great kings or Maharajas and are related to the 4 lords of karma or the 4 great powers which make square, balance, and adjust the workings of the great law that love, justice, equilibrium, and harmony may ultimately prevail. They are connected with karma because the law needs physical and material agents to carry out and execute its decrees. The 4 kinds of winds, for instance, admitted to have their respective evil and beneficent influences upon the health of mankind and every living thing. They are the regents, or angels, who rule over the cosmical forces of north, south, east, and west, forces having each a distinct occult property. There is occult philosophy in the Roman Catholic doctrine which traces the various public calamities, such as epidemics of disease and wars, and so on, to the invisible messengers from the north and west. The glory of God comes from the way of the east, says Ezekiel, while Jeremiah, Isaiah, and the psalmist assure their readers that all the evil under the sun comes from the north and west. This, however, must be understood in its esoteric interpretation, each point of the compass having its own occult significance and potencies. According to the Book of Enoch, I then surveyed the receptacle of all the winds, perceiving that they contributed to adorn the whole creation, and preserve the foundation of the earth. The first wind is called eastern, because it is the first. The second is called the south, because the Most High there descends, and frequently there descends he who is blessed forever. The western wind has the name of diminution, because there all the luminaries of heaven are diminished, and descend. The fourth wind, which is named north, is divided into 3 parts, one of which is for the habitation of man, another for seas of water, with valleys, woods, rivers, shady places, and snow, and the third part contains paradise. Who are those whom I have seen on the four sides? The first is the merciful, the patient, the holy Michael. The second is he who presides over every suffering and every affliction of the sons of men, the holy Raphael. The third, who presides over all that is powerful, is Gabriel. And the fourth, who will inherit eternal life, is Phanuel. These are the four angels of the Most High God, and their four voices which I heard. I also beheld the four winds which bear up the earth, and the firmament of heaven. The powers and forces thus symbolized are not mere abstractions, but are the intelligent, entitized forces so often referred to in the writings of the Christian fathers as the messengers, angelic virtues, spirits, or angels. Thus do the regents of the four winds, with their hosts or armies of living powers, bring to the earth and to mankind their particular forces, without which evolution could not be completed. From this we learn the great lesson of unity in diversity, that each soul must work in its own way, just as the winds accomplish their own work even though apparently adverse. 10. The four beasts also symbolize the four corners of the earth and the four winds of heaven. The wind, like the breath of the physical body, is a manifestation of the Spirit, which comes from we know not whence and goeth we know not whither. It is said that from the north and west come all diseases and all afflictions, while from the east and south come all benefits. The winds, like the breath of the physical body, are but vehicles of spiritual powers operating on earth, through which the lords of karma bring about their decrees, even that which seems to be evil ultimately resulting for the benefit of the world and its inhabitants. Just as the signs of the zodiac have their rulers, so do the four quarters of the earth. The powers which operate in the creations of earth are focused in these four cardinal points, or rather their rulers manipulate certain creative forces, both in the evolution of the globe and in the individual. These forces being both cause and effect are the law of karma. In the spiritual life these beasts, or lords, symbolize the power to know, the power to dare, the power to do, and the power to keep silent. Without these four powers the soul cannot reach mastery. Philippus Levi, in referring to these same spiritual powers, taught that there were four qualities of soul without which true wisdom could not be attained, namely, an intelligence illuminated by study, to know, an intrepidity which nothing can check, to dare, a will that nothing can break, to do, and last, but most important of all, a discretion, keep silent, which nothing can corrupt. The ancient philosophers have been much derided in modern times for teaching that the earth was square. But in speaking of the four corners of the earth, the original teaching was not that the earth was literally square, although later on this became the belief of the uneducated masses. The ancients used this symbolic expression to indicate the balancing and squaring of earth conditions which is brought about by the four regents of the four winds. For only as earthly conditions are squared can this earth become the cube or the footstool of God. The four winds are said to usher in the four seasons, namely, the east wind brings spring, the south wind summer, the west wind fall, and the north wind the winter, which completes the cycle of the year. There are also four phases or quarters to the cycle of the moon: the new moon, first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. Hence these are two more instances in which 4 equals the complete cycle 10. The four winds are connected with the lords of karma because it is these winds, or the forces which they embody, which are continually bringing about the changes and adjustments upon the physical plane which permit the sacrifice, i.e., Through the sunshine and winds of spring and summer the matter of the earth sacrifices its gross form and is lifted up into flower, fruit, and grain, that to be more perfectly impregnated with the life force of the sun and the higher kingdoms, while by the winds of autumn and winter old forms and limitations are sacrificed and broken up that new and higher forms may manifest in the next cycle. Likewise the soul, in passing through the changing winds of karma, gathers up the spiritual forces and the experiences from them which place its feet upon the square foundation stone of truth. Truth is said to be square because only that which can be proved on all planes can endure, i.e., only as the length, breadth, and height of it can be measured by unity, the rod of power, or 10. In the New Testament, the powers of the four beasts and the four winds are represented by the four apostles and the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are also the four saints, angels, or regents of the earth, the four lords of karma who adjust the conditions symbolized by the negative or evil aspects of the four beasts. Saint Matthew, the man from the east, Aquarius, the power to know, is the adjuster of all conditions brought about by man's ignorance. He is called the publican or tax gatherer, the angel who levies upon mankind tribute to knowledge, the knowledge which shall support the rule of the divine king. Saint Mark is the lion, Leo, the power to dare. By Bible students he is called the interpreter of Peter, the rock. He adjusts the conditions in humanity which arise from the lack, perversion, or fickleness of love, which should be the foundation stone of the spiritual life, the rock of intuition. Saint Luke, the bull, Taurus, is called the physician. As the bull symbolizes the masses of mankind who toil and labor, St. Luke adjusts the conditions brought about by the improper use or enslavement of labor. This he accomplishes or heals through the power of attainment through patient perseverance, the power to do. St. John, the eagle, Scorpio, the power to keep silent, is called the beloved disciple. He adjusts the ills resulting from the stinging power of the scorpion, sexual desire, by lifting it up above the earth to soar in the higher realms. In other words, when the stings of the scorpion are healed, or the lessons resulting from the perversion of sex are learned, the creative force which it symbolizes rises upward on eagle's wings toward the sun and becomes divine love, the beloved of the Christ.